What's going on, everybody? This is Paulio Jr. Let me pull the mic closer. And this is going to be an excellent video. Very simple as always, but I want to show you guys how to mount any ISO to a thumb drive, USB stick, whatever the heck you want to call it. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you more how to mount um, any Windows operating system. So we're going to be focusing more on Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10. And this is the actual thumb drive that I'm going to be using. This is a 64 gig. You can have ones that are less, because I think the max you would ever need would be 8 gigs for as an ISO file. So you really, this is just what I have is inexpensive, but you can get one. You can get one an 8 gigabyte thumb drive and be perfectly fine as far as mounting a Windows operating system onto a thumb drive. And it's a very simple process, and there's two very easy methods in which we can do this. So let's get started. I'm going to plug this guy in. I'm actually going to turn the webcam off here if I can. And I'm going to plug the thumb drive into the computer. Just putting it right in the front gives me an autoplay. And this is my thumb drive that I just plugged in. And I'm actually just going to do a quick format. And even though it's not necessary, I'm still going to do it. So it's just right-clicking on it, format. Quick format's fine. Start. Takes a couple seconds, and then we're good to go. So let me close this out. I'm using Windows 7 64-bit. So in here it's called computer. On the other operating systems it's called this PC, whatever. However you got to get to the thumb drive to format it is perfectly fine. Alright, the thumb drive has been formatted. It's cleared. So the first program is Power ISO. And this is an excellent program, has so many beneficial features on it, and then when it that has beneficial features on it that are free, and has even more features when you do actually pay for it. So it's poweriso.com. You can just go to download, and typically you're going to download the 64-bit. And what's cool with this is that it goes with this you can use this from all the way back to Windows 98, I think. Let's see what it says. Yeah, I think from Windows 98 all the way up to Windows 10. That's freaking crazy. Still pretty cool. So just open this up, install it, and do your thing. So right now I'm going to go right into the program, Power ISO. I'm not a registered user, but there's a lot of cool things that you can do, like mounting ISO images of operating systems onto a thumb drive very easily. And so I did a previous video on extracting ISOs and all that good stuff. So I do have a folder full of ISOs on my desktop that I do own. And like I said, we're going to be focusing more on Windows operating system ISOs. So poweriso.com, that's where we go. And then the second, this is I'll put this link in the description too, softplay.net/operating system. And in here, there are tons of ISOs in here. And of course, I have to say, do not use these. The ISOs work fantastic. They're 100% fully functional. They download extremely fast, but only use these if you have purchased a version of whatever version you're downloading of Windows. So make sure you have the serial key, or you're just using this to experiment and have fun. But almost every single Microsoft Windows operating system ISO is located from 32-bit to 64-bit is located in this website. And when you go to download, you don't get you typically don't get bombarded with ads or anything like that, and the speed is extremely quick. So right now I am downloading. Let's see, yeah. So for me right now, I'm downloading pretty quick, 1 point whatever, almost 2 meg, 1.5 megs a second. So, and then that would be your ISO file. So only use this page legitimately. Okay, don't do anything illegal. But that being said, I'll put a link in the description because there is legitimate software on this website. So we're going to use Power ISO first, and so when we open Power ISO, all we're going to do is go to Tools, and then we're going to go to Create Bootable USB Drive. We have to select our image file, and we are using a Windows operating system, so I'm going to use Windows 7 64-bit. That's what I'm going to use right now. That's my ISO file. And remember, you can use any other ISO you want. It just doesn't have to be just Windows. And from here, the right method is USB-HDD. Just leave it at that. File system, just leave automatic, and then just hit start. And that is all. This is why I said you didn't have to format the thumb drive, because it'll say all the data will be overwritten. Do you want to continue? Yes. And make sure that you're using the appropriate the drive that you want to use, the thumb drive you want to use, and let that go. It does not take that long. It really doesn't. This time will continue to shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink. So what I'm going to do first is just let this finish, and then show you that it actually does work. And then we're going to actually go into the Microsoft, going through the Microsoft website and the tools that they have if you do want to download and mount excuse me, Windows 7, Windows 8, and Windows 10. So I'm going to stop this until it's finished, and then we will continue from there. Okay, so our ISO of Windows 7 64-bit has finished mounting, and so now we're just going to close this out. An option to come up to say OK, I hit OK. We close this out, close out of Power ISO, and just to show you, go to computer here, and you see it actually says Windows 7. This is the thumb drive, and it actually has the auto run, the boot manager, and the setup file as well. So you could even run this directly from the thumb drive itself inside of an operating system. So if, for instance, this was Windows 10 and we were using Windows 8, we could actually run the setup file in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to unplug the USB drive. I'll plug it back in, and we should get just the regular options, open, view, all that fun stuff. And I'm just going to open and run the setup file. And obviously we're not going to do anything here, but here it is. This is all coming from the thumb drive. So let's close that out, and now I'm actually going to use my phone to show you how to boot the thumb drive from another computer or laptop. Okay, so I'm actually now on my laptop in the BIOS, and each laptop is going to be different on how you enter the BIOS. This is an Asus, so what you do is you hold F2 until the BIOS comes up when you start up the computer. When you do start up the computer, have the thumb drive already in there.
And so now we're gonna go. There's a couple things you need to do. First thing is now the how you get to these specific things are going to be a little bit different. But secure boot has to be disabled first off. I'm going to escape here. Go back to boot and and then launch CSM. This has to be enabled, and then there might be some times where you will have to switch back to legacy, so between UEFI and legacy. So you can try this way first. If your BIOS does have an option where you can switch to legacy, then go ahead and do that. You're not going to mess with anything. It just gives you the ability to have different startup boot options. So in here, I now have the ability. It says boot option one is Windows Boot Manager, which is from the hard drive, and boot option two, which is the Lexar USB. Now I want to make sure that's the first one. So with mine, I hit the plus sign, and it makes it the first thing, the first device that the computer will boot to. So look it'll look to see if the USB has a bootable image on it, and if it does, it'll boot the USB, and then if it doesn't, it just goes to the second option, which would just be the hard drive. And like I said, if you do have an option to change from UEFI to legacy, then go ahead and do that. But that's the biggest thing: is secure boot has to be disabled, and and at least for the ASUS, the launch CSM has to be enabled. So I'm going to save changes and exit, and we're just going to let it go and see if it does go into the Windows 7 64-bit on the thumb drive. So we'll see if it actually boots to the thumb drive, which it should. And there we go. Windows is loading files. And so it is working. It is setting it up. And so like I just said, this will work with any version, any image that you mount to a thumb drive. So even if you do something like Linux, you want to mount Linux to a thumb drive, you can do the same thing and it'll load just like this. So there we go. We're in our setup, and we would just follow the prompts and so forth. And that's all you need to do as far as uh, being able to, you know, mount an image to a thumb drive and then boot that image from the thumb drive onto your computer. And that's all. But I am going to go into a second part in which, for downloading, mounting, and booting Windows operating systems from Microsoft itself. So we're going to get into that next. But if you just wanted to learn how to actually mount and boot ISOs, then you can stop here. But for some extra cool information, keep going.
Okay, so we're back on the original computer, and just to reiterate, to make a bootable USB drive, we open up Power ISO, we go to Tools, we go to Create Bootable USB Drive, and we select our image up here, whatever it is, whichever one you want to use. USB HDD for the right method is fine. File system automatic is fine. And then hit start. Don't worry about any of the links down here. Everything worked perfectly fine without me having to do anything else. So it took about 15 minutes for a however big it was, a 4 or 5 gigabyte file to mount onto my thumb drive so I could boot it on another computer. So let's close out Power ISO, and now we're at the official Microsoft website. So we have untainted operating systems here, and so you can download Windows 7, Windows 8.1, and Windows 10 from here directly. So Windows 7, this is the only one where you would need to type in a product key that you already have or own, and then you can download the ISO file. So so as long as you have the ISO file, as long as you have the serial key, type it in there, hit verify, it'll prompt you to download the ISO file. Pretty cool. So you can have your, so if you don't have your CD, now you can actually have a backup of the ISO file. So next we're just going to go to Windows 8.1. Now this is obviously one where we do not need to type in our key. We just type in download tool now. We're going to click keep. We're just going to open it directly here. And this is kind of cool because at least for the Windows 8.1, you get two options. So you get to download it, and I think you get to mount it as well. So I'm just going to English, and then I can pick whichever. So I'm going to use 8.1 Pro is what I want. Architecture, everything is 64-bit now, so I'm going to have 64-bit. The only time I would do 32-bit is if I am upgrading an older computer that doesn't have a 64-bit processor. So we click next. Now we can save the installation file to a USB drive, or we can save it as an ISO. So so let's hit, we'll do the USB flash drive file. So if you do the ISO file, it'll just save it as an ISO to wherever you want it. Let's see, next. And then so the E drive, I believe, is my, yep, that's my free one. So I would hit next. Just seeing what it'll do from here. Okay, so anything that's on the E drive, on the flash drive, will be deleted. So it's actually going with this installation media creation tool. It will download Windows 8.1 onto the thumb drive directly, and then we're going to see what it looks like after that. Okay, so the Windows 8 utility installation media creation tool has actually finished downloading Windows 8.1 Pro and mounting it and making it bootable on our thumb drive automatically. So I'm just going to hit finish, and here's our thumb drive. So when I go into setup, I should be able to just install Windows 8 directly from the thumb drive, and I can put the thumb drive into any other computer and upgrade my operating system or install a fresh version of Windows 8 just like that. Of course, I would need a serial key, but Microsoft also offers these free downloads as well, which is pretty awesome. And it's the same exact thing for the Windows 10 option here. I don't know why I'm looking at Netflix. So on the download Windows, so we're done with Windows 8.1. I'll put this link in there as well. Download Windows 10. So we get the download tool. Keep that. And we're going to go right into this tool as well. And on the Windows 8.1, you could also have burned it to a DVD, making it bootable as well. So we're going to use this tool for Windows 10, and I believe it's very similar, in which we can get the ISO, or also burn it to uh, a DVD or mount it to a thumb drive. So let's see here. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Accept. I read all that, by the way. And let's see what this goes to. Let's get this guy ready. Okay, so in this tool, it actually gives me the first option to upgrade this computer, because I have Windows 7 upgraded to Windows 10. I'm not going to do that. Or create an installation media, flash drive, DVD, or ISO for another computer. So let's hit next. Use the recommended options for this PC, but that could change since it would be put onto another computer. So, but this is all accurate. English, Windows 10. Okay, and then we can decide if we want a 32-bit, a 64-bit, or both. I'll just do 64-bit. I will hit next, and I'm actually, so if we use the USB flash drive, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to put Windows 10 on the thumb drive and then make that thumb drive bootable for any other computer, which is friggin' awesome. But I'm just going to save it as an ISO. I go to next. I'm going to go to desktop, and I'm going to go to my software CDs, and then this will be my Windows 10 64-bit official, and I'll put it right into my software CDs, save it, and that's going to be it. It's just going to put the ISO right in there. So I hope that this video was helpful to you guys. The first couple minutes was just very simply making any ISO, but more in particular a Microsoft operating system ISO, making it so that we can boot it on any computer using a thumb drive. And so that was the main aspect of the video, and then also seeing some other utilities that can do the same thing, and tools that are offered by Microsoft and so forth. And yeah, this is actually very convenient, and I hope you gained something from this. And thanks for watching, guys. Have a great evening. I have to go to friggin' bed.